Middle, if you call a spade, you'll get labeled all types of names. Imagine Scott Agnes criticizing South Carolina and Asia Wilson fans for going after Caitlin Clark during her rookie season. Imagine the backlash that he'd...
Imagine being so pressed by applause that you write a thesis like you're trying to land a job as Darth Vader's hype man. Well, one Indiana Fever reporter just went full galactic empire, claiming Caitlin Clark's fans are basically the Sith Lords of the WNBA, armed with foam fingers and facts. Welcome to today's episode of Media Meltdowns and Missed Layups, where we break down the now viral tantrum that has fans asking, is this basketball or the next Marvel crossover? Grab your popcorn. This drama's spicier than a Logo 3 in crunch time.
Yesterday, in an article, he put something in there, and I don't know if he thought it was going to be a side note to his article, but you cannot call Caitlin Clark fans the dark side of the fandom. No, that wasn't the greatest or smartest idea in the world for you to have.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the walking ratings boost who yanked women's basketball into the spotlight by sheer force of talent, is now the target of a hit piece penned by someone with the journalistic poise of a tipped-over Gatorade cooler. And this wasn't your average critique. Nope. This was a full-blown, high-speed meltdown in Times New Roman, aimed squarely at her fans. That's right. The audacity of people cheering for a generational talent apparently triggered DEFCON 1. Supporting Caitlin Clark? In this economy? According to this reporter, that's practically a felony.
This is really disappointing from a journalist so closely linked to the Indiana Fever organization. This is really, really disappointing, and it's really concerning in my opinion, because it is painting a 23-year-old on their team who is currently injured.
Apparently, this reporter, let's call him the torchbearer of trash takes, has officially declared that cheering for Caitlin Clark is now a crime against humanity. According to his logic, rocking a number 22 jersey and applauding a deep three-pointer puts you squarely in the ranks of the empire. Yes, welcome to the dark side, where basketball IQ and fan enthusiasm are apparently Sith traits. All we're missing is Darth Maul doing color commentary and Imperial March blaring every time someone buys her trading card.
Imagine Scott Agnes writing an article about the Reese's Pieces and all their negative vitriol, shout out to L. Duncan, that's been targeted to Caitlin Clark. Imagine the backlash he would receive. But what's the safe way out? What's the safest way to big up the Indiana Fever? Well, you tear down Caitlin Clark's fan.
If you're enjoying, please leave a like and subscribe our channel. Meanwhile, Indiana Fever management is still out here doing the absolute maximum amount of absolutely nothing. It's like watching a live-action Scooby-Doo episode, except instead of unmasking villains, they're baffled as to why Caitlin Clark fans are furious. Here's a clue, gang. You've got the most electrifying rookie in WNBA history getting mauled nightly in a league where the officiating makes the WWE look like a chess tournament at MIT, and somehow you're surprised there's outrage? Zoinks.
Media to fall in line with how the WNBA wants to paint this Caitlin Clark and her new fans picture. It's easy. All you got to do is attack her fans. All you got to do is attack her fans. If you call things down the middle, if you call a spade, you'll get labeled all...
Let's start with the league, shall we? The WNBA, in all its infinite wisdom, somehow took Caitlin Clark, the same woman who casually handed out 40-point triple-doubles like free samples at Costco, and dropped her into a system where the refs officiate like they've been majoring in petty calls 101. Every whistle feels personal. Every no call feels theatrical. At this point, watching a Fever game is like sitting through a Shakespearean tragedy. If it were directed by someone whose entire worldview comes from viral Twitter threads.
But yesterday, they also announced the skills competition for the WNBA All-Star team. And she didn't make that either. So you argued she wasn't good for the Olympics. Your argument, though I don't buy it, but it was your argument, women's basketball, that she would be a distraction. So isn't the perfect place to put her in the skill?
The NCAA treated Caitlin like a phenom. The WNBA treats her like a freshman at Mean Girls High. If the NCAA was a supportive guidance counselor cheering her on from the sidelines, the WNBA is Regina George asking her why she's so obsessed with being talented. We went from Game of the Week coverage to Game of the Weekend if nobody else is available. Because clearly, showcasing your most marketable athlete is a terrible business strategy. But let's pivot to this reporter. A man so allergic to accountability, he probably has to carry an EpiPen every time someone mentions the word objectivity. You see, he's not just reporting anymore. No, he's educating us. According to him, if you support Caitlin Clark, you're clearly toxic. Not because you're loud or rude or harassing people, but because, well, you exist. It's the kind of journalism that makes you question whether he got his degree from a cereal box. This is the same guy who, when called out for ignoring obvious foul play against Clark, pivoted harder than a yoga instructor during a power outage. He swears up and down that Fever head coach Stephanie White, who, by the way, is not the current Fever coach, but why let facts get in the way of a delusion, adores Caitlin Clark. Adore? Sir, Stephanie White coaches the Connecticut Sun. That's a whole different zip code. It's like saying Steve Kerr is totally working on LeBron's shooting form, but of course, accuracy is optional when you're writing from a bunker of bitterness.
Man, winners of 7 of 9. The Fever are playing.
This man has endured so much hate, he says. Really? Because last time we checked, Caitlin Clark has been verbally assaulted on and off the court, elbowed in the face, fouled with the grace of a flying anvil, and still hasn't responded with anything more than a polite thank you at press conferences. Meanwhile, this reporter breaks into a digital panic attack every time someone in the comments section asks him to consider reality. What's wild is how this guy has never, and we mean never, called out any of the blatant cheap shots aimed at Clark. Not one. Not when she was shoved, not when she was fouled like someone was trying to snatch her soul, not when she got body checked during layups. Nada. Zilch. But suddenly, he's got enough energy to write a 1,200-word essay about how her supporters are the problem. Let's talk about that supporter base, shall we? Because the way this man talks about Clark's fans, you'd think they were a biker gang running a meth lab out of a Fever concession stand. These are mostly parents, kids, and regular folks wearing Clark jerseys and trying to enjoy a basketball game. But according to this keyboard crusader, they're the root of all evil. Forget inflation or world hunger. The real threat is that middle-aged woman in section 105 with a "Let Caitlin Cook" sign. This isn't just spin. This is Orbit's level spinning. He's twisting himself into such rhetorical pretzels, we're surprised Auntie Anne's hasn't filed a trademark complaint. Every time someone tries to talk actual basketball, this man redirects the conversation like a dad avoiding feelings. Let's not talk about how she got flattened with no foul. Let's talk about how you're a bad fan for noticing.
Is nasty. If y'all don't know who Scott Agnes is, he's a guy that's he's very close to the team. He gets a lot of access. He's in the practices. He's interviewing the players at practice. He's interviewing the players pre-game, post-game. He is very close with the team and has a lot of access to the players and the team.
Even more pathetic is the way this has become a cottage industry of envy. The WNBA has been begging for mainstream attention for decades. Now they finally get someone who brings in eyeballs, sponsorships, ticket sales, and jersey orders that crash websites. And somehow, the biggest crime she's committed is being too successful. This whole thing is starting to feel like that one coworker who never does their job, then gets mad when someone else gets promoted. But none of them are pulling the league out of obscurity like Caitlin Clark. That's not shade, that's math. You don't see Taylor Swift fans getting accused of ruining the music industry just because she sells more albums than anyone else. You don't see LeBron James fans being told they're toxic for clapping too loud. But apparently, if you buy a Caitlin Clark jersey, You're one emotional tweet away from being labeled a cult leader. And let's not forget the grandest irony of all. These reporters and pundits who spend all day criticizing Caitlin Clark's fans are only relevant right now because of Caitlin Clark. If she weren't in the league, half of them would be tweeting about pickleball tournaments and Waffle House reviews.
I mean, the ignorance is loud here, folks. They're only there for Clark. Boy, you stepped in it. But that dark side can easily seep into the team. The Caitlin Clark fans, the dark side. Because they're very passionate about a player, and yes, they've put their money where their mouth is. So these people, these fans, feel invested.
This man literally built a platform out of not supporting her. He is the anti-fans fan club president. His whole brand is shouting into the void about how she's overrated and then gaslighting anyone who points out the obvious, that she's not just good, she's revolutionary. Let's be honest, if Caitlin Clark played in a league where professionalism was the standard and favoritism wasn't the entire marketing strategy, she'd be in MVP conversations. But instead, she's out here surviving defensive ambushes like she's auditioning for Gladiator, while refs sip herbal tea and stare at the scoreboard. The worst part? Every time she shows humility, class, and restraint, things that are supposed to be positive traits, somehow that gets twisted too. Why doesn't she fight back? Why is she always so quiet? That's not just misinformation. That's misinformation dipped in delusion, deep-fried in denial, and served with a side of misplaced ego. Again, she coaches a different team. This is like saying Elon Musk personally mentors every Tesla driver. It's nonsense. But that's the level of fact-checking we're working with here. Just so you know, a woman brings millions of dollars of value into a league that couldn't sell out a concession stand 5 years ago. Fans finally engage with women's basketball on a national level, and the response from certain corners of media? You guys clap too loudly, please stop liking her. This would be funny if it wasn't so utterly pathetic.
Yes, Indiana Fever reporter Scott Agnes has decided that now would be the time, now that the Fever have won a few games, now would be the time to attack Caitlin Clark fans. While, of course, and I'm not even going to go through because some of them are really nasty.
Caitlin Clark didn't just make the WNBA relevant, she made it unavoidable. ESPN covers her like she's a presidential candidate. Opposing arenas cheer when she hits threes. Cities see spikes in tourism when the Fever come to town. But sure, let's talk about how the fans are the problem. Not the elbow throwing, not the no calls, not the league's refusal to protect their most valuable asset. Meanwhile, our dear reporter can continue typing away in the comfort of his own irrelevance, watching the sport he claims to love finally rise. Just not in the way he wanted. And just when you think this clown show couldn't get any more absurd, enter stage left. Officiating decisions so baffling they make you wonder if the refs are being live-streamed from a parallel universe where basketball is played with jello instead of a ball. 1 minute, Caitlin splits defenders like Moses parting the Red Sea. Next minute, she's whistled for a travel that even her grandma would call generous. Meanwhile, opponents throw their elbows with the subtlety of a drunken rhinoceros. And crickets. Not a peep. It's like they're treating the referees as if they're auditioning for America's funniest home whistle blows.
By off social media, do you mean that they don't read the notifications? Because they're all on social media, except for maybe Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. You want me to believe, Brianna Turner's always on social media. You want me to believe that these players who are so addicted to the drama, who are so addicted to the outside noise, have gone off social media? Stop gaslighting us. We don't believe you. You need more people. We don't believe you. You need more people.
Let's not forget the special edition foul calls that only seem to exist when Caitlin Clark touches the ball. Drive to the rim? Offensive foul. Contest a jumper? Technical. Breathe too hard near an opponent? Let's go to the monitor. At this point, you'd get more balanced decisions from a coin toss in a wind tunnel. The league's officiating feels less like rule enforcement and more like a choose-your-own drama script, where every scene ends with Caitlyn looking like the villain. She gets hit, rewind, slow-mo, and analyze her reaction like it's a Zapruder film. Smiles after a logo 3? Cue the dark music and Twitter outrage. It's not officiating, it's narrative building.
Actually, now, you would think that sentence is actually setting up in defense of the Indiana Fever, right? Because when you're on the top of the mountain, when you're the GOAT at the top of the mountain, you are going to get all the arrows. You're going to get all the arrows. This is true in any sport. This is true in life in general. When you are successful, you become a target. It doesn't matter that you might have started
At least Darth Vader got a cool theme. But here's the kicker. Despite all this, Caitlin Clark bundles up every setback like it's Christmas morning. She shakes her head, jogs back on defense, and keeps putting up numbers that make calculators weep. Which brings us back to our keyboard warrior reporter. He's probably at home polishing his I told you so trophy, while Caitlin is out there being the WNBA's MVP in everything but the final box score. If fandom is a dark side, then consider us Sith Lords, because we're amassing power with every jersey sale, every tweet, every standing room only crowd. And to all you naysayers hiding behind your bylines, here's a message in neon. You can't extinguish a firefly with petty criticism, and you sure as heck can't dull the shine of talent that refuses to be dimmed. Stay tuned for the grand finale, where we roast this whole spectacle to a crisp and remind that, in basketball as in life, you don't get to pick the hero, she picks you. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.